We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. A roll call, please.
Brian Crawford.
Here.
Leonard Knapp,
Here.
Monty Montalvo.
Here.
Howard Puri.
Here.
Eula Simeon.
Here.
Jared Ricky,
Here.
Lenore Feeney,
Here.
Jason Hanneman,
Here.
and Erica Dorsey.
Here.
I'd like to observe a moment of silence, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Two requests to speak to the commission on items not on the agenda. We have some other requests for individuals who are lawyers for parties who are on the agenda, and so we'll just let those lawyers speak at the time those matters come up. We had a request from Mr. Robert Burns.
Well, if I notated on there, I would speak. This is not, I just texted her, she might be here soon, so that was the only purpose would be to ask them. Be your call.
I appreciate your honesty, Ms. Burns. It'll be up to the commission at that point, but we'll figure that out when she arrives.
I was just trying to assist if I could.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, the next item of business, the business items on the agenda, the first is election of officers per State Police Commission Rule 2.1B. Do we have any motions?
I would like to make a motion to nominate Eula Simeon as chairman. Second.
Too fast.
Didn't want you to make any comments.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. You have any motions relative to vice chairman?
So moved. Brian Crawford.
Okay, then
Second.
moved and second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on business item on the agenda is consideration of the meeting minutes from December the 8th of 2022.
Mr. Chairman, I move that they be approved and adopted as minutes. of This commission.
Okay, in a second,
Second.
and moved and second, any discussion items on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, the next item, we'll get to some substantive things now. I guess election of officers was substantive. That means I have to continue working on it. Some substantive things, consideration of the request from the Office of State Police in accordance with SPC Rule 12.5, place Lieutenant Kirk Thibodeau on suspension without pay pending criminal proceedings until the resolution of these certain criminal matters, or there is no longer a need for the suspension. We have representatives of both parties present, as I understand.
Michelle Gerard, attorney for Louisiana State Police. Marianne White, attorney for Lieutenant Kirk Thibodeau.
Jody Hasselbeck, Deputy Superintendent. Patrol.
You may be seated.
Good morning, commission members. The agency submitted a request to place Lieutenant Kirk Thibodeau on suspension without pay pending criminal proceedings. Attached to the request was a copy of the complaint in South Dakota regarding a charge against him. And we ask that after consideration, you grant the request. He's currently on forced leave, using his own leave at this time.
Commission members, again, Marianne White, and we would ask that, we oppose the request, but we would ask if you grant it, that you would allow him to use his annual leave. Lieutenant Thibodeau has a balance of about 2,875 hours of annual leave. And he also has, Ms. Gerard has the exact numbers, but about 256 hours of K time. And so we would ask that he be able to use those hours and draw down those hours before he goes into suspension without pay pending criminal proceeding.
Any response from the-
Those hours are correct, and if the commission so chooses to allow him to use his leave, that's the commission's decision.
Now, we have the option at this point to either have public discussion now on this issue, go into executive session, or we have other similar matters. And we could defer executive session until then. I would move that we defer executive session until we get through item number 5 on the agenda.
Agreed.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we're going to defer executive session until after item 5 on the agenda.
Thank you.
We'll just discuss all of those items at the same time. Okay, number 4, consideration of the request of Office of State Police in accordance with SPC Rule 12.5 to place Lieutenant John Clary on suspension without pay pending criminal proceedings until the resolution of those criminal charges, or there is no longer a need for suspension. I assume that the same position of the department on this as on the other matter, but if there's something you want to add, please do.
No, it's the same position, commission members. And I provided the leave balances to Mr. Kyle Green this morning.
And what are those balances?
Lieutenant Clary currently has 4,839.83 hours of annual leave, 60 hours of compensatory time, and 56 hours of time and a half compensatory time.
Thank you.
Um,
It's your position.
It is. We would oppose that position. We would ask that Lieutenant Clary be placed on administrative leave pursuant to Rule 12.9D, I believe, which allows the commission, in light of the internal affairs investigation, that Lieutenant Clary was cleared, and also the federal investigation, which Lieutenant Clary was cleared in. We'd ask that, but alternatively, we would ask that he be entitled to exhaust his leave.
Thank you. Again, I would move that we defer executive session on this until after item number 5. In a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, item number 5 on the agenda is consideration of a request from the Office of State Police in accordance with SPC Rule 12.5, place Trooper Corey York on suspension without pay pending criminal proceedings until the resolution of those criminal charges, or there is no longer a need for the suspension. So I think I'm repeating myself 3 times, just changing names.
Yes, sir. Our request is the same. Trooper York currently has 2,821 hours of annual leave, 126.5 hours of compensatory leave, and 126 hours of time and a half compensatory leave.
May it please the commission, I'm Mike Small. I represent Corey York. Co-counsel with me on the criminal case is Natchitoches Attorney Taylor Townsend, and we've simply requested that Mr. York be allowed to use all of his accrued leave time until such time as that might be exhausted. And in the event it becomes exhausted and he's still under indictment or has not been exonerated by a jury trial in Union Parish, that he at that time be placed on unpaid leave, should he not opt to retire.
It's been a while since I've seen you, Mr. Small.
It has been a while. It's nice to see you again. It goes for several people here on the commission. Mr. Knapp, good to see you, sir.
Righty. Do you have any motions to go into executive session to discuss allegations of misconduct?
I would so move.
And that would be on items.
Items 3, 4, 4, 5,
3, 4.
3, 4, or 5.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Take a roll call vote, please.
Ryan Crawford,
Yes.
Leonard Knapp,
Yes.
Monty Montalvo,
Yes.
Harold Perry,
Yes.
Jared Ricky,
Yes.
and Euless Simeon.
Yes. Okay, the commission has voted to go into executive session. What that means is we ask everyone to leave out of our meeting room. We ask that you don't congregate outside the doors here to go into the atrium area. If you have any items, you need to take those items with you.
No. Is that a stake? All right. Yours up to date as. Yeah.
I missed them.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we're back and everyone else is here in the room. We need to know whether there's a motion to leave executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we return to regular session.
So moved by Commissioner Knapp.
Second.
Have a second, by Mr. Jerry. Been moved and second. Let's take a roll call vote, please.
Brian Crawford,
Yes.
Leonard Knapp,
Yes.
Monty Montalvo,
Yes.
Harold Perry,
Yes.
Jared Ricky,
Yes.
Okay, we're
and
back.
Euless Simmons.
Sorry.
Euless Simmons.
Yes. Back in public session. I understand Ms. Harden has made a request to make a brief presentation to the commission in regards to the matter that we're about to discuss. Is she present?
She's not present.
Okay, I think we have an appearance. To the right.
Are you Ms. Harden?
Yes.
I understand you had made a request to speak to the commission on an item on the agenda.
Yes.
Okay, as is customary, we'll allow you 5 minutes to make your presentation.
Yes.
Good morning. My name is Danelle Harden. I am sister to Ronald Green, who was murdered back on May 10th of 2019. I'm here to express my concern because you guys are questioning whether or not John Clary and Corey York should be paid on administrative leave. After being on that the video that you guys all saw, be no question whether or not these men should be paid on administrative leave. They should be fired. It's been 3.5 years, almost 4 years. And my family, we still haven't begun to heal, to move forward. After seeing my brother being excessively tased, punched, and choked, you saw it. So there shouldn't be no question whether or not these men are paid or not. They should be fired. So my other concern is there was swift action taken to fire Mr. Carl Cavalier for just speaking up, whereas he wasn't even on the scene. So how is it that you guys keep these murderers on payroll, still patrolling the streets here in Louisiana, but you guys fire the good cop? Doesn't make sense. So I just don't understand why is it so hard to do right? You know, why is it that doing bad is becoming a popular thing? So just here to express that My family and I were ready to start the healing process, but we cannot heal until real action has been taken on the Ronald Green case. If you guys could hold these men accountable, because if you do not hold John Clary, Corey York, Dakota DeMoss, Floyd McElroy, Christopher Harpin, all those men that were on the scene, we're never going to see change here in Louisiana. And so my goal is I'd like to just reimagine public safety for my people. I still have relatives, they live here, and none of them are here that reside in Louisiana because they're scared. So again, we just want to heal. We want to move forward. And we cannot move forward until the wrongs have been made right. And that's all I have to say.
I want to thank you, Ms. Harden, for coming forth. I know it's a difficult time for you. I know it's a difficult time for your family, and certainly a difficult time. You have to come before us and express your feelings, and we appreciate you doing that. I just want to make clear what the issues are that are presently pending before the commission today. And the issue is the request by the department to place two of the individuals that you named on leave without pay. The other issue is whether or not, unrelated to the incidents that are alleged in this incident, whether they accumulated some leave. We're not considering whether we're giving them anything that they have not already accumulated during the course of their employment. This commission does not have the power to take away from those individuals leave that they have already accumulated. We don't have that power. It's constitutionally, we can't take the leave that they've accumulated away from them. So just want to make sure we're on the same page as to what issues we're actually considering today. At some point, there are going to be appeals related to the action, the employment action that was taken, but that's not what we're looking at today either. Okay. I appreciate your comments. Have any motions?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion relative to item 3.
Okay, we have a motion related to item number 3, consideration of the request of the Office of State Police in accordance with SPC Rule 12.5 to place Lieutenant Kirk Thibodeau on suspension without pay pending criminal proceedings until the resolution of these criminal charges, or there is no longer a need for suspension. And what is your motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion under State Police Commission Rule 12.5 to grant Louisiana State Police's request for suspension without pay pending criminal proceedings with the condition that Kirk Thibodeau is allowed to exhaust annual leave balance and compensatory time balance.
We have a second.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded that the state police request to place Lieutenant Thibodeau on leave without pay be granted with the understanding and condition that he has accrued leave that he's accrued during the course of his employment, and that he be allowed to use that leave. Have any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir, Commissioner Crawford.
just to further expand on your comments and to be clear to the public that we're not providing anything to the officers such as could be construed to be a paid vacation. This time that officers have accumulated, and I'm going to do a hypothetical, not even speaking in this situation. If an officer leaves and separates service from the state police, whether that's through his own actions or that's the actions of the appointing authority removing that individual, the state has to pay them for any outstanding balance that they have for leave. And so in the motion that's been made here, all it does is allow them to use that leave that would be paid to them at some point anyway, until their appeal is heard. So I want to be clear on that. This body, if this motion passes, is not giving them anything. It is something that they have accumulated over their time at work that would be able to be used by an officer or to be paid by the state by law upon their separation of service. So that's what I want to be clear on there, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair,
I appreciate the additional comment. Yes, sir.
one
Commissioner.
additional comment also is that they are on suspension. They are not on the streets at this time. And they are without pay for the period of time until the criminal charges are resolved. So that is, and they're just simply using up compensation that they've already earned prior to their suspension.
In fact, this commission granting the request by the state troopers by the state police, in fact, keeps them off the street because they are granting the request that they be suspended. And if we affirm this motion, so.
Yes, but it took 3 years to get this.
But
this
that's
far.
not the issue that we can decide today.
Okay.
Whether that's timely or not timely is an issue that's not relevant to what we have to decide today, and that is, should they be put on suspension? If we approve this motion, they will be. In fact, they are already suspended from the service. And then if we approve it, they will continue to be suspended from service without pay. The other question that this motion decides is they have accumulated time, as Commissioner Crawford, I think, very artfully explained. We can't take that time from them. It's what they're entitled to under the law. The legislature could change the law one day and maybe that could happen, but that's not what the law is today. Today, the law is if they get terminated or if they get suspended, they can use when they get terminated, they can use their time. So they will get this time at some point. The only question is, do they get to use it now or do they get it later? And that's the question we have to decide. And this commission in other cases has made this decision before, unrelated to this case. And every time this issue has arisen in the past, we've allowed this agency to suspend the officer, but the officer gets to use the time that they have basically banked already prior to the suspension. So with that understanding, I have to speak in favor of the motion. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The request by the state police is granted. Officer is on suspension without pay. Of course, he has leave that if he chooses to use it, he will use it.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion on item 4.
Item 4 is consideration of the request from the Office of State Police in accordance with State Police Commission Rule 12.5 to place Lieutenant John Clary on suspension without pay pending criminal proceedings until the resolution of these criminal charges or there is no longer a need for suspension. The motion.
Relative to item 4 under State Police Commission Rule 12.5, I would offer to grant the state police's request for Lieutenant John Clary for the suspension without pay pending criminal proceedings with the condition that Lieutenant John Clary is allowed to exhaust annual leave balances and compensatory time balance.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Obviously, we've discussed these issues with regards to the last trooper that we discussed, and we're not going to repeat the same things, but all of the same things apply and what our limitations are as to what we can and cannot do. Even if untimely at this point, this trooper is under suspension. We are affirming the suspension of the trooper who is not now in active service, is not being paid by state police if we adopt this motion. Just 1 second. I do want to make a clarification on something we said earlier. That if they're terminated, they still get to use their leave. There is a limitation of use of up to 300 hours. But under the system, until there is a final decision by this body, which we can't make today. And when we hear the evidence on that and the issue of the appeal is presented, we may or may not prejudging that issue, may or may not affirm the termination or the separation of these particular troopers. But in the meantime, before that actually becomes an official termination, whether it's timely or not, it's beyond our control to take that additional time away from them, and they're entitled to use that time. So I just want to make a clarification on something we said earlier. If there is a final separation, then they are reduced down to 300 hours, but that has not yet, untimely so, but has not yet occurred. We don't have the power to take it away at this point. So we've been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We'll move to item number 5 in public discussion of item number 5. Consideration of the request from the Office of State Police in accordance with State Police Commission Rule 12.5 to place Trooper Corey York on suspension without pay pending criminal proceedings until the resolution of these criminal charges and there is no longer a need for the suspension.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion on item 5. Relative to item 5, under State Police Commission Rule 12.5, would grant that we grant Louisiana State Police's request for suspension for Trooper Corey York for without pay pending criminal proceedings with the condition that Trooper York is allowed to exhaust annual leave balance and compensatory time balance.
And so moved. We have a second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion other than the discussion we've had related to the similar matters? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. We'll move to item number 6 on the agenda. Consideration of a motion for summary disposition filed by the Office of State Police in the matter of Kasha Domain, Department of Public Safety and Corrections, Office of State Police, docket number 21250-T. You have a representative of the department. Has there been any contact by Ms. Domain?
No, sir, I have not received any opposition to the motion. I called the commission to check because my deadline to file a reply was the 10th. So I called on the 10th to see, and no opposition had been received by her deadline, which was January 5th.
We received none. Would you like to present your argument?
I filed a motion to summarily dismiss Ms. Dominguez's appeal. It's unopposed, and I would ask that the commission grant the request to summarily dismiss her appeal.
Do we have any motions to go into executive session to discuss allegations of misconduct? I would so move.
I'll second.
Executive session to discuss allegations of misconduct. It's been moved and second.
I would recuse myself from this case.
It's been moved and seconded. Please take a roll call vote, understanding the recusal as well.
Brian Crawford,
Yes.
Leonard Knapp,
Yes.
Harold Perry.
Yes.
Jared Ricky
Yes.
and Euless Simeon.
Yes. Okay, we'll ask again that you proceed to the atrium area. Motion, please.
I move. Second.
Moved by Commissioner. Seconded by multiple people and thirded. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, we have to take a roll call. vote.
Ryan Crawford,
Yes.
Leonard Knapp,
Yes.
Harold Perry.
Yes.
Jared Ricky,
Yes.
Euless Simeon.
Yes. Great. We have item
Five.
six
Six.
on the agenda, consideration of motion for summary disposition as well as a motion to lift the stay in the matter. So it's a motion to lift the stay and motion for summary disposition filed by the Office of State Police in the matter of Kasha Domain, Department of Public Safety and Corrections, Office of State Police, docket number 21-250-T.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to this, first thing I'd like to deal with is with the stay, which is presently in force and effect. I think that have the criminal charges having been completed in this matter, we're now able to lift that or start and proceed with this motion. And so I'd make a motion that that we move forward with this proceeding and lift the stay.
Been a motion to lift the stay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The stay is lifted.
Second motion, the appellant's motion for summary disposition of appeal in the appeal of Kasha Domain,
Not appellant.
not appellant,
It's LLC.
appellee's motion. With regard to the motion, we would I move that we dismiss that summary disposition and set this matter for hearing in this matter.
Been moved. Do we have a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Only this, I just want to make a brief comment on it. Obviously, voting for this motion does not speak to the merits of the determination. I personally, looking at the facts, I believe there's still things in dispute that have to be resolved. In particular, looking at the plea, the guilty plea that was tendered with the motion, the facts that gave rise to the basis for the termination and the original letter of termination are all stricken from that. She does not sign any document that admits to those facts. She signs a document that admits to certain other things. And so I think the state's going to have to prove those facts. And at this point, there's just a dispute of facts. If the state proves those facts, then we can make a resolution of the matter. Any other comments? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to deny the motion for summary disposition and to set the matter for a hearing. And I personally request that we do it as soon as possible. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion for summary disposition is denied. But before Ms. Gerard leaves, I'd like to ask her to stand up for a second. Gerard, I understand this may be your last.
This is my last meeting. Yes,
I want to commend you for the diligence and very respectful performance. Respectful in the sense it was, you did a very respectful job, great job, actually. But you always, before this commission, are extremely respectful of the commission and try to do a wonderful job, and it's well appreciated. When there's good, as you know, when there's good lawyers on both sides, and there's been good lawyers on both sides, in many cases, it makes our job a lot easier to do. So I want to commend you personally for that and ask I make a motion that she leave with a commendation from the commission for her hard work.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. I'm not even asking about any of those. Okay, so we have a director's report.
Keep it brief, Mr. Chairman. Behind tab number 7 in your binders, you'll find the expenditures of the commission for your review. Any comments regarding the commission's expenditures?
This is through December,
This is through January the 9th.
January 9th. Okay.
Mason's efficient.
And then if there are no questions, I just wanted to thank each one of you for your completion of your annual training. I was able to deliver that report as required through the Commissioner of Administration's office regarding our successful completion of those trainings. That concludes my report.
I guess the rest of the report, we need to report on the vacancies that arose in the commission and where we're going,
Oh.
where those are.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Second Congressional District, Louisiana Christian University had submitted its nominations to replace Captain Sabrina Richardson from when she resigned from the commission. And Mr. Burnell Neville Jr. has been selected to fill the remainder of that unexpired term. Mr. Neville is unable to join us today, but he is looking forward to joining us at the February meeting, just set for February 9th.
With all due respect to his calendar and his scheduling, he only found out about this last week, I believe.
Correct. He just found out about it last week. His official nomination was December 31st, I believe, but he just found out about it last week. But he has been sworn in and he is eager to become a member of this commission. And then for the 6th Congressional District, we are pleased to announce that Xavier University submitted names and the governor has selected Mr. Euless Simeon to fill a new term on the commission. We're happy to have you.
Congratulations.
Condolences, maybe.
Stuck here for another 6 years.
Well, there's always the route of resignation, but anyway. But anyway.
We have to approve that.
Anyway, any other matters?
That'd be all.
Any, we had no request to address the commission on matters not on the agenda.
We did not.
Unless there's an opposition, we'll.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to address, I have enjoyed serving on this commission, but I am going to resign my position. I have some other pressing matters that I'd like to deal with, and I can't do so while serving on this commission. And so I will submit that resignation to the governor. And I'll furnish a copy to Jason. And I'm going to try to work as quickly because I know that it's important that we get persons on board as quickly as we can and try to get that along as quickly as I can to get that moving.
You notice I was trying to ignore Commissioner Knapp from being able to get the floor because I knew what he wanted to say. But he insisted that I recognize him, so I had to, but you will certainly be missed. Your insight and service on the commission is greatly appreciated. We'll miss you.
Thank you. Eames.
Now,
Adjourn before somebody else resigns.
all right, any opposition to the adjournment? Having none, we're adjourned.